Hey guys, Anders here with a brand new beginner guide series for Black Desert. We're starting a fresh account and progressing as far as we can go. The idea here is to help you get back into the game if you're a returning player, or get familiar with the way the game works if you're a brand new player. Some things may seem mundane if you're a veteran player watching this series, but I'm going to try and go over every little thing I've had players ask me over the past 6 years while playing BDO. With that said, the game is currently buy to play as of right now, $10 normally, though you can get it for $1 during sales, and they happen very often throughout the year. There is, however, also a free 7-day trial I do recommend you use before even spending even $1 on the game, as it's going to help you get a feeling for the game, give you enough time to gauge whether or not you will like the game going forward. Download the free trial from the main website. I do recommend using the main website launcher and not Steam. Usually Steam tends to have some issues from time to time. A main website launcher is a little bit better in my opinion. Now, when you are downloading the game, it's going to ask you to sign up for a Perlibis account ID. That's just an account for the game. Sign up with any email you have and make sure to select promotional emails. From time to time, we get events that give you extra rewards for being signed up to this. You can always uncheck this option in your account settings on the main Perlibis website after an event is over and after you've gotten the item, so you don't have to have that on all the time. As you download the game, you're going to see multiple trailers of updates the game has had. Depending on the last time you played, there have been pretty major changes to the game, mostly I'd say positive changes to the new player experience, especially making things less frustrating to progress, more streamlined. If you're returning, make sure to select the proper region if you have that option. If you're new, select the region closest to you. Western players will have access to both the NA and EU regions from one account. These are not linked in any way. The NA servers are in California, EU servers are in the Netherlands, so East Coast USA is going to have similar ping, maybe 10 to 15 difference to both NA and EU servers. I am in the West Coast. I have 200 ping to EU and 25 ping to NA. A high ping is going to affect your PvP potential, PvE not so much. It's just going to affect how quickly you are sending and receiving information to the game servers. More importantly, keep in mind, I think the time zone differences and event schedule differences for each region will be more impactful than even ping. For example, when I was living in the East Coast, I would need to wake up a little earlier to make it to Vel, which is a world boss spawn that only happens twice a week. For the Sunday Vel spawn, I would have had to wake up at 6 a.m. or so to make it to that EU spawn, since now I live in the West Coast. So not really worth cutting into my sleep schedule if I want to sleep in on the weekends, but it becomes more of an issue actually if you plan to do node wars and other group PvP activities with guilds, where timing can interfere with your work schedule or other responsibilities during the day. Normally, if you play in your own region, these wars, these group activities will happen during peak hours for a game, usually late in the evening, so 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. depending on your time zone. If you choose EU servers like I did, but live in the West Coast, my wars would start around 11 in the morning. This is also important for Oceania players from Australia and New Zealand, since you will most likely choose NA servers in California. If you want to play on Western servers, you have to keep the time zone differences in mind. Now, in the end, my simple advice, honestly, is play with your friends if you can. If your friends are in EU and they're very active, play with them. Doesn't matter where you are. If your friends are in NA and you're from the EU, I'd say play NA and play with your friends. If not, choose a region with the server you have the lowest ping on, and you should be all set. You cannot transfer your account to other regions, so this is why I want to make sure you make the right choice when you start out. If you have friends playing the game, play where they are. If you don't, choose the region with the lowest ping to you. Another thing you want to do as you wait for the download is go to the main website of your region. I'll have the links of each one in the description and the pinned comment. Go to the website and look at the current events. There are a lot of events at any given time in BDO that will give you a boost in your progression, but they can be a little confusing, so go through them, search them on my channel. I usually have covered each type of event at least once, so I explain what you need to do. This is especially true during the holiday season or during the launch of a new class, so keep an eye out and take advantage of the freebies from these new events that are coming out. Another thing I want you to do as you wait for the download is go to garmouth.com. This is a player-created website that is a huge asset to the game. More importantly, it's going to let you see if there are any codes you can redeem when you log into the game that will offer extra rewards. The site has a ton of features that will help with your progression and is something we will be using a lot of in this series. It is absolutely free to use, links with your Discord, and it does have some paid tiers if you want more advanced features or experimental features, but they are not necessary for what we're going to do. Since we're doing a free trial for now, we're not going to worry too much about spending money. The game is pay to win in the sense that money does buy you advantages of some sort. There are limits, of course, but we'll talk about that later on in the series. For now, I'll run through the game with a free trial, and then we can talk about what you may want to spend money on and what I recommend you buy as one-time purchases if you want to speed up your progress. Now, once the game has finished downloading and launches, we finally get into the character creation and server channel selection. The channels in the game are all existing on the same server of your region. You can see for us, we see EU, Calfian, Medaya, Ulvia. EU is the region. The channel group will be called Calfian something or Serendia something. And the channel 1 through 4 or 1 through 5 will be what channel within that group you are in. You can change channel to channel every 10 minutes, but you can also be part of a guild that allows you to freely swap channels without cooldown within a certain set of groups. There are also Ulvia and season channels. So Ulvia channels are for new players or returning players only. There is no PvP enabled and offers some added bonuses to aid your progression, like XP boost for example. Season servers are for the seasonal progression event that I highly recommend you use if it is active. Season servers are almost always running. Sometimes there is a 1 to 3 week downtime between seasons, but if you don't see them active, choose the Ulvia servers and continue through there. If you do see the season channel, also look at the event site to check when the season ends so you know how much time you have to progress through the season. If you're starting out and you see that the season is ending in a few days like for us, you still want to make a character in seasons and progress as much as you can, because finishing any season will reward you with a one-time season reward, which if you're a new player is really good for your progression. Character creation is something that, depending on what kind of player you are, you're either going to take a few minutes on or a long time making the character look the way you want it to look. In the beginning, you can swap your character appearance as many times as you want, since you get about a month of free value pack, which is the subscription service that gives bonuses like free character appearance swaps. The most difficult part, I think, might be finding a name for your characters. Since BDO is a bit older now, it's going to be rough finding a name that you want. I do suggest adding some characters like capital I's before your name, after, or both even, to make it easier on yourself if you want a specific name that's more common. Try and get creative with your naming. Changing your name is not free, so take some time and find something that you like. You will also eventually have to choose an account name or family name, as we call it. This is like your last name or household name. Everyone will see that name when you type in chat, no matter what character you're on. So if your family name for me is Anders, but your character name is Bob, people will still read Anders said whatever. You can change this to read only character names, but most people tend to use the family name as a form of communication. As for class selection, what class should you play? I get this asked all the time. Either play the latest class, which in this case would be Wusa fairly soon, that's coming out very soon, or make a class that you find cool. I have a class guide on my channel. I do these at least once a year, so look through them to get a sense of how each class plays. Right now, the best male class for grinding in PvE is Berserker. The best female class in PvE is hard to say, honestly, because Berserker is just miles ahead of everyone, but Nova or Dark Knight are good options in my opinion. Wusa has not released yet as of the time of this video, so she may be really good. We don't know. I'm sure I'll have a ton of videos going over what she can do and more information about her as soon as she releases. There will also be an option for season character creation. This is linked with the season event I mentioned earlier. Choosing this option will start a season character that will go through objectives. They will be restricted in what they can and cannot use in the game, but the game does a decent job of explaining what you can equip, giving you all the items you need, and more or less allowing you to gear up a lot faster than if you weren't using the season character. If you're completely new, or if you haven't played BDO for a long time, you're gonna have to go through a tutorial. That's a fairly new thing that they've added, It's not great, it's actually mediocre at best, but try and bear through it. It should only take you 10 minutes or so. Once you're done with the tutorial, you get an option of 2 paths that you can start in. These don't really matter much in the grand scheme of things. You want to do all of them eventually, but I recommend you choose the winter region path since it's going to reward you with an important accessory at the end of it. It's also newer, so the story is a little bit better and voice acting is pretty good, but that is just my recommendation. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, but for this playthrough, we'll choose the winter region since I prefer the snowy region and I want to get that earring accessory at the end of it. Now from here on in, it's fairly simple. You want to follow the main story till you finish the winter region story, and then you get sent to a region called Media. But before we start through the main story, after we're done with the tutorial, you want to go to your settings and go over optimization options on PC since we have a lot of settings to work with, and some of these tweaks will greatly improve your performance in the game. Now first up, performance settings. Under this menu, you want to go to graphics and textures and adjust the in-game graphics. Texture quality and graphics are really going to depend on your system specs, but if you're looking for high FPS and decent graphical quality, medium settings for both is a good starting point. See how much you can stretch it. I personally play on high textures and remastered mode for the extra eye candy and for recording purposes, but in settings where you're going to be doing a lot of PvP or group PvP, you want to tend to drop the settings to make sure you have consistent high FPS for a smooth PvP experience. For anti-aliasing, you can leave this off or use FXAA. TAA tends to have a blurry effect on lower resolution, so I don't really recommend you using it. Under here, you'll want to make sure most of these settings are off except SSAO and faraway objects. Really, these are my preferences, but I recommend keeping at least these 2 on for a better visual experience. Under the optimization submenu, you want to make sure auto frame is off, and under upscale, this is where you want to test settings if you have a high resolution monitor like a 4K display. BDO only has AMD FSR 1.0, so not the new one that's out. Maybe we'll get that eventually, but FSR is going to render the game at lower resolutions and then super sample that image to your native resolution. This is going to allow you to have similar visual fidelity and much better FPS. For a deeper look on FSR and BDO, you can look at a video guide I made on FSR and BDO on my channel, but for now we're going to leave FSR off since we're running at 1080p. Under the upscale settings, you're going to see some toggle options. Make sure that low power option is turned off for much better performance. Attack decision and miss effects are also a preference. I tend to leave them off. It's up to you what you want to do with that. Performance optimization will increase your RAM utilization for BDO, so if you have at least 8 GB of RAM, you should be okay, but I recommend having at least 16 GB if you want to use this option. Effect optimization is also a preference, though I keep it on at about 30% from the left. You can play around with this, but start at this position and see how much FPS gain you get moving it slowly towards the right side. Character optimization should be off, and the final option here is hide other adventurers. You want to have this checked to make the hordes of other players in cities and world bosses disappear. If you don't have this enabled, your FPS is going to tank because the game is trying to render all those other players around you at these large areas. You do, however, want to disable this when you do group PvP because you definitely want to see every enemy around you so you're not getting killed by phantom players. Under camera performance, you want to have camera vision range at 100 so you can see more of your surroundings, and the overall camera effect should be at 0. This is going to disable effects like camera shaking, which can cause eye fatigue and dizziness. The workers and pet setting is also personal preference. I keep work progress disabled. This being enabled would make you see your NPC workers going to work on the world nodes around you, but you can leave it on if you want it for immersion. Pets, you want to either have hide pets on or show only my pets. Otherwise, you will see everyone's pets and your FPS will take a hit. Pets are pretty cute in this game, so I tend to keep mine visible only. Hide certain NPCs is an option you can try if you're still struggling with FPS. Under display settings and the effects submenu, we can set a photo filter. This is again preference, but I tend to use vibrance or none. Underneath this, you have the gamma and contrast settings. Increasing gamma will make the game brighter, and decreasing contrast will have a similar effect. What I tend to do is lower my contrast if it is nighttime and I'm having trouble seeing things around me while in PvP or grinding. Effect opacity is another one you can lower to around 70 to improve FPS. and really help with skill clutter. BDO has a lot of flashy skills, so if you're in a party, you sometimes are unable to see what exactly is happening because of all the blinding flashes from skills from your party members and yourself. Combat focus should be at 0, and color aid will be for those of you with different forms of color blindness. Under general settings, you'll find quality of life submenu. Make sure you have aim assistance enabled and the rest of these settings disabled. Under the show hide menu, most of these are preference, but you want to make sure you have hide others campsites enabled, which will hide other players' tents, helping with FPS in crowded event areas. Most importantly, I think, is the alerts submenu. You want to disable every single one of these things except guild missions and central market pre-orders. This will remove the spam you see at the top of your screen alerting you of enhances, failed enhances, and other things you probably don't really care too much about as you start the game. Though keep in mind, you're not able to hide enhancing notices from fellow guild members, so that is one limitation. World map, you want to make sure you have no animation selected and 90 degrees to make the map more fluid. Under language, you can choose which language you want the NPCs to speak in. We have English, Japanese, and Korean as options. Under miscellaneous, you can set the UI theme, but these are again preference. I recommend you have closed window UI and closed full screen UI disabled for convenience. And finally, under interface settings, you can go to the mouse interface submenu and enable mouse to move. This will give you a cursor to move and select items around your character. This is going to be useful in PvP for some classes when it comes to skill direction and movement. So if you're an avid PvP player, I highly recommend you keep this on and learn to use it properly. If you're a profession or life skills oriented player, having this on is useful when it comes to the gathering profession, as it allows you to gather nodes around you without physically moving to that node. There are some more advanced tweaks to the game that you can do to eke out some more performance, but for now this should be generally good enough for you starting out. That's going to be it for this episode. We'll continue our journey to endgame next time, where I'll go over what we need to do after finishing the first storyline, but I hope I went over just enough to get you started in BDO. I don't want to make these episodes too long, but let me know what you think about videos like this in the comments. Are they helpful? If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave them under the video or over on my Discord. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.